With each new season of anime, we get a fresh look at new stories and characters. It's a chance for any anime to finally stop adhering to the tropes and cliches of the genre, and find a way to truly stand out. Except none actually do. Okay, some anime are very original, but they still follow the same tropes and cliches as all the other series. In fact, the entire history of anime as a whole is full of tropes, cliches, and reoccurring things that keep on popping up. From ridiculously goofy hair that looks like it belongs to a wild animal to the weird world of anime anatomy, here's just a small sample of the silly anime logic we find in every single series. Perhaps this is just part of the overall aesthetic of anime, but it was more pronounced in the early and mid-2000s and 2010s. Basically, when you see a character in profile, you'll see their full mouth, as if they have a permanent sneer or someone dragged their mouth over to their cheek. What made this really unsettling is that at times, the contours of the lips would still be visible in the profile, but their full mouth would open and close, which some might say is grossly upsetting. This is peak retro anime. Like side mouth, this isn't as widely mocked, but back in the 80s and 90s when it came to anime eyes, the bigger, the better. People outside of the anime and manga community would refer to these eyes as manga eyes, and they would be seen in a lot of early Western cartoons when anime was beginning to get popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. Some characters would have eyes that take up half of their head, big, expressive eyes that would be used to exaggerate emotions and faces. One of the telltale signs of an anime protagonist or unique anime character is their hair. There's a lot to say about anime hair, but one of the more obvious leaps in logic is how people can see with all that hair in their eyes. A great example would be Inferior Balear from Overlord. Just look at him! His bangs are always in his eyes. Just take some shears to those babies and let's see those eyes all the time. Despite constantly having hair in his eyes from those awful bangs, he seems to have no trouble seeing. I guess that since it's a magical world, being able to see with hair in the way is nothing out of the ordinary. This is a big one, and nearly everyone has seen this in one anime or another. A complete misjudgment of time. Today we have two examples. One is from Frieza in Dragon Ball Z. During the fight with Goku, Frieza unleashes a devastating attack that will destroy Namek. He says the planet will blow up in 5 minutes. However, what goes on is the longest 5 minutes in anime history when the fight lasts another couple of episodes. A lot longer than 5 minutes. The other example is from JoJo's Stardust Crusaders. When Dio uses his stand, the world, he can stop time for 9 seconds. However, it's actually minutes at a time. We guess villains just suck at telling time. Whether it's a slice of life anime or something else entirely, there's a good chance there'll be high school girls in school uniforms. A staple of anime, these flimsy skirts are everywhere, and sure, more risque anime might have upskirt shots and the like, but other times these skirts will work overtime and defy gravity to keep these girls modest. A chief example out of the hundreds of anime would be Kagome from Inuyasha. For the majority of the show, she wears her school uniform, and despite falling and being in constant danger, her skirt defies all logic to keep the viewer from seeing what's under the hood. Truly, there's some demon magic going on there. In a classroom setting, there are a lot of great places to sit. If you're a bookish teacher's pet, you sit up front. If you're a slacker, you sit way in the back and keep that head down. If you're an anime protagonist, you sit by the window, every single time without fail. School Rumble, Death Note, Index, these are just some of the examples where anime characters are drawn to the window seat. But why? Well, it's perfect for daydreaming and picturing a better life of adventure. It's also a great vantage point to see if something happens, forcing the protagonist to act. Or it's the best place for them to watch the world just drift on by. Anime battles can be long and worn out. The hero has spent several episodes giving it their all and pulling out all the stops. However, they'll eventually end up nearly defeated and out of energy. This is where the true fight begins. Despite being nearly drained of all energy, they summon the strength to fight on, and even win with enough yelling or powering up. This happens nearly every fight in Dragon Ball Z and other shonen battle anime like Bleach. In the world of anime, much like time, age is relative. Characters who are fully developed are in their teens, and adults can look like children. A literal child could be like a 1,000-year-old demon or something, while a 15-year-old can look stacked, like in the case of Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You expect us to believe this towering absolute unit is only 15 years old and in high school? He looks like he could bench press a train and then some. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Kana from Dragon Maid. Clearly, she looks like an 8-year-old girl, right? Wrong! She is actually a dragon who's several hundred years old. Much like the anime protagonist hair, the clothes can be just as impractical and nonsensical. If you need examples, you don't need to look very far. Returning once again to JoJo's Stardust Crusaders, Polnareff is one of the main characters who wears what we can only describe as a half-shirt. Stylish and form-fitting, yet utterly ridiculous. There could be an entire second list of the silly leaps and logic Pokemon takes, trust us on that one. However, today we'll be looking at just one aspect of Pokemon, the battles. Throughout Ash's Pokemon journey, he's kept his Pikachu throughout all of it. Pikachu has been in hundreds of battles now, and has taken on all kinds of opponents. Yet it seems like the power level of this small Pokemon keeps fluctuating. In some battles, he can take on powerful legendary Pokemon and come out victorious, which means Pikachu must be incredibly strong, right? However, Pikachu then loses to small and basic Pokemon. How is that even possible? Pikachu should easily be like level 100 by now. In a typical action anime, you want your main protagonist to be well protected. They usually have some armor or covering that protects them from damage. That's pretty standard and normal. However, anime can be far from normal. Very far from normal, in fact, as you'd know if you'd seen Killa Kill. The main premise, in a very roundabout way, is that a teenage girl gets superpowers from a skimpy sailor suit. Playing on the bikini armor trope that's seen in fantasy, Killa Kill takes that premise and runs with it to the extreme, proving that the less clothes you have on, the stronger you become. In fact, the more protection you actually have. Going off of our previous entry where age is just a number, we have the clashing standards of adult girls looking like children and vice versa. Konata Izumi from Lucky Star canonically is 18 years old. If we hadn't told you that, you'd assume she's just a child because she looks like one. Well, she's actually an adult. Meanwhile, Yoko Littner, at least before the time skip, is just 15 years old. What is it with anime and not wanting normal mouths? There is yet another common trope associated with the anime mouth, and that is a line disconnecting the mouth or a line just running right on through it. Two mouths. Now, there have been some apologetics surrounding this aesthetic choice, some saying that it looks better with lighting and shading, or that it would look weird if it was just a straight line, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Western cartoons have never had a segmented line for a mouth, and that doesn't look weird. Has this ever happened to you? You overslept and are running late for work or school or saving the world and you need to fuel up for another exciting day in anime land. Making a full breakfast just won't cut it. There has to be a better way. Introducing Toast. Yep, Toast is the perfect way to get the energy you need while you waste no time in getting out the door. Simply toast bread, stick it in your mouth, and you're on your way to a bright and happy day in your perfect anime world. This trope bridges generations and seems to be the universal sign of a forgetful protagonist who's in a hurry and needs to get somewhere fast. Look, we're all guilty of historical inaccuracies. History sometimes needs some improvements in order to make a better narrative. That being said, sometimes the changes anime make can be interesting. For this entry, we'll be looking at Hestia from Danmachi. In the anime, gods and deities help out their followers. In Danmachi, Hestia is portrayed as a small, minor goddess with a short white dress. She's seen as kind of the bratty younger sister to Belle, the main protagonist. However, the real Hestia is the Greek goddess of the earth, the family and home, and looks a bit more mature and motherly. It's an inevitable conclusion. You know it's coming, you just don't know when. But when it does, the fanboys rejoice. The beach episode. Yes, one of the common episode-specific tropes every anime seems to have. When you need to break up the plot or the story with some filler, the best way to do that is with a good old-fashioned beach episode. You get some low-stakes drama and plenty of cute girls and guys in swimsuits having a grand old time. There are some characters that just stand out from the rest, and in most cases, that's taken literally. We've talked about anime hair, eyes, and clothes. Now we'll combine all of that into one classic game called Spot the Main Character. Because anime main characters are so uniquely designed, they pop out from the rest of the cast or the background characters. Fans from across the anime community will often gather up a sample of anime clips and try to ask one another if they can spot the main character. There are many Spot the Protag Flash games you can play, and many online quizzes too. Perhaps the most unique protagonists come from Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, just look at the hair. We all love food. Who doesn't? We need it to live, and there are hundreds of thousands of meals you can make and eat. Of course, there are people who love food more than others, and no one loves food more than anime protagonists. We swear it's like a regular mukbang when an anime main character is shown a buffet and they devour it in seconds. The two main characters who are most guilty of this are Goku and Luffy. At no point are they ever full. Their stomachs might actually be bottomless as they devour entire buffets, big and small. Anime protagonists get knocked down, but they get up again. You're never gonna keep them down. What's up with that? Yep, whether it's for comedic effect or in a serious battle, it seems like the main characters are nearly indestructible. Take Ichigo from Bleach. He's shown to be just human, so there's nothing too special about him other than the fact that he was given the powers of a Soul Reaper. However, Ichigo regularly gets the snot beaten out of him, even getting a hole ripped in his chest at one point. Zoro from One Piece is another example. In a world of devil fruit users, he's just a guy with 3 swords, yet he takes more punishment than any other Straw Hat. Just how there's always another stronger enemy to fight, there's always another level the main character can reach in order to become stronger. It goes by a lot of names, but we simply call it power creep, and it's everywhere in anime. Remember when going Super Saiyan was a big deal? Then there was Ascended, Super Saiyan 2, and 3, and now in Dragon Ball Super it was Super Saiyan God, and so on. In One Piece, for Luffy, it was going into 2nd gear, then skipping right on to 4th with new transformations like Bounce Man. Finally, Bleach's Ichigo has Bankai and beyond for whenever he needs to get stronger. There will always be another level the hero needs to get to in order to defeat the bad guy. Anime eyes aren't like most eyes. As big as they may be, they're also special, magical even. Yep, there's no shortage of characters with special eyes. Now take a look with your own special eyes. Yep, from Maximilian Pegasus's Millennium Eye that allows him to read minds to Sasuke's Sharingan, the special eye is a trope we've all come to love. Western comics have had heroes with laser beam eyes, so it's not too far-fetched for anime special eyes to do all sorts of cool and magical things. No contacts or special LASIK surgery is required for most of them. Just have a special family bloodline and make a deal with the devil to get yours today. While anime is primarily in Japan, stories and characters can take place anywhere around the globe. However, due to understandable limits and the Japanese talent focus, all the characters are still voiced by Japanese people, even if their characters aren't Japanese. It's understandable, and it would be ridiculous for anime studios to have all their non-Japanese characters speak their native languages. Nonetheless, the idea of multicultural characters speaking Japanese is pretty funny, especially when they visit another country. A great example of this is the entirety of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, yet again. A majority of the main cast isn't Japanese. Joseph, Jonathan, and Dio are all either British or American. Polnareff is French, Avodal is Egyptian, and the list goes on. There are certain character types in your average anime. Some are good, but most aren't good. Yet they keep on coming back from the dead. The one we're going to talk about, however, is the yandere, the lovesick psychopath everybody wants for some reason. The yandere is a character, mainly a girl, who might appear sweet and innocent at the start, but will then go into a frenzy. This is often done to get with one of the main male characters. Many fans like a girl who'll kill for him, but in reality that would be a giant-sized red flag. If the girl you're interested in is a psycho killer and needs to be locked in jail forever, that's not good for anyone. Smoking isn't cool, kids. Neither is drinking. It also doesn't make you cool, unless you're an anime character, that is. Then it becomes your defining character trait and everyone loves you! Activities like smoking and drinking are linked to maturity and high living, but in reality, they're linked with lung cancer and liver disease. Of course, that doesn't stop characters like Smoker from One Piece from looking cool while smoking not 1 but 2 cigars. Hey, if you're gonna puff away minutes of your life, you might as well double down, right? And there are a whole lot more drunks than there probably should be. Usually, if the heavy drinker is a woman, they tend to be the flirty character. A main character will surround themselves with powerful allies to help them. This will result in the party being split up to fight the bad guy team, with side characters taking on other lower-level generals. While they fight their little skirmishes, only the main character can stand up to the main bad guy. Like, we get it. This one character is the main focus, but there are other allies too. Sure, some of them might not be as strong as the main character, but they'll always fight the grunts while the main character fights the big bad guy. It doesn't matter if the allies are stronger or more interesting, only the protagonist gets to move the story forward. And those were just some of the silly tropes and logic in anime that fans have just been okay with. Did we miss something? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to CBR and ring that bell for all of our latest videos straight to your inbox. Hey, thanks for watching.